We got a lot to talk about here. Anywhere from Sony being afraid to announce its pricing, to Game Pass being a viable asset, to Microsoft disrespecting Nintendo and Sony, and not respecting the marketing or the market of console gaming. We got all that coming up. I'm just gonna really start this off with talking about how Microsoft, or excuse me, Sony is so afraid, so very very afraid of announcing the price for the PS5. They're actually waiting on Microsoft to do so. So that's the word on the street. I didn't want to report this immediately because I just felt like that didn't sit well with me. It didn't make any sense for somebody to openly say something like that. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff at play. And sure enough, my patience has paid off. There was somebody that actually commented on this particular statement. Or everybody was like running with this shit. I mean, everybody. So one of the guys, I'm not going to pronounce his name. You can find him. You could spell it Giuseppe. He was on Twitter. You can pronounce that shit all you want. I'm not doing that shit. Either way, he says you may see articles reporting that Sony is reporting is in quotations that Sony is waiting for Microsoft to reveal the price of the Xbox One before deciding the PS5. That is a very liberal interpretation of what was said. They simply said that they cannot discuss it. That does not automatically apply that they haven't decided. So basically, it's business as usual. It's business as usual. And I knew it personally. I was like, I'm not going to report that shit. Like, I'm not going to say anything about that. But, you know, all sorts of things are coming out of the woodworks because Sony isn't saying shit. Honestly, Sony is being quiet. We don't know what the pricing is, and we don't know what's going on. There was talks also about just in general what Sony wanted to, you know, kind of like wait and hold off on their actual announcement for the PS5, the official announcement. And here's the thing: you must understand. You must understand that honestly, how hard do you think it is to balance a leader of a current generation, which we'll talk about in just a second, and then you have to stop all of that momentum of one of your second best-selling console to sell a new one, and you don't want the momentum to slow down. You know what I'm saying? They have to be careful. I mean, they have to. They can't say too much. They don't want to put too much out there because they don't want to fuck up the momentum of the PS4. You know, they have to balance that. You know, I'm looking at my notes here. Let me see. It didn't sell because, I mean, it's just, I guess I don't know what I meant by this note, but basically I did make a note stating that, you know, they have to balance what they are, you know, currently. They got to balance it. They have to balance exactly the PS4 and the potential of the PS5 because they have to restart it. And then on top of it, they don't know exactly the price of what they want it to be. They don't know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, I'm sure that they are kind of looking at what Microsoft is doing. And just you know, to be prepared because they don't want to fuck this up. The PlayStation brand is a huge piece of Sony. It's not as big as it was before because Sony as a whole, I was looking at some shit there. It's doing really well. It's doing really well, and we're going to actually segment right into that. Sony is divided between 6 divisions, right? We have the electronic products and solutions. I think that's what TVs and stuff like that. Imaging and sensing solutions, cameras. Game and network services, PlayStation. Financial services, they have banks in Japan. The music sector and the picture sector. Focusing on the PlayStation, it accounts for 27% of Sony. The next one up, the most profitable right now, is the electronic products and solutions, which is 28% of the entire Sony company. And there were some talks about why it's like that. And I believe they consolidated the phone portion and just things of that nature. They're very careful about what they're doing and what they're spending. They used to be very liberal with their electronics and whatnot, but now they gotta be careful. And it's one of those things where shit is fickle. Shit could just disappear right before your eyes, and there's no way of getting it back or no way of knowing what happened. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta be careful of any business. But zeroing in on the Sony division or the gaming division, PlayStation Plus, that's what I meant. I was reading that, and I guess I now I can see what was going on. I did pause earlier because of that. I was trying to figure out what I was saying. People tend to think that the PlayStation Plus is what's making Sony, like the actual online factor. Let me break this down. So there is 5 pieces that makes up the Sony gaming division. There's the hardware, how much money they're making off of the hardware controllers and whatnot. There's the physical software. There's the digital software and add-ons. There's the network services, which is the actual PlayStation Plus. And then there's others, which is PlayStation VR and whatnot, right? That being said, the biggest contributor is actually the digital software and add-ons. That is the PlayStation Store. So people buying games off of that. That's where most of the money is coming from. Second place is the actual hardware, how much money they make off of controllers. Third place is the network services, PlayStation Plus. So you got that going on. And then where is the other one? Networks. Oh, no. Physical hardware is next. And then the PlayStation VR is the last portion, which we're going to get into with the VR. Looking at the software sales and physical sales, that's another point. Back in 2015, the physical sales accounted for, I would say, 80%. All right. 2016, it was about 75%. 60%. No, 70%. 2017, it was about 60%. 2018, it was about 55 to 60%. And then 2019, it's almost a 50-50 split. People are using the digital piece or the digital aspect of the store. People want convenience. So that being said, you got to understand, yeah, people definitely want convenience. And here's the thing. There were people talking about, even including me, about Sony actually going third party and kind of releasing their games on there. That's a lot of money left on the table. As a matter of fact, to put things into perspective, right? That is so much money left on the table that $12 billion last year went to just PlayStation. Just PSN, that whole network, $12 billion. Billion dollars. For them to go third party, they will relinquish their PlayStation stores, which is where they get most of their money from. So, no, I don't think now that we're looking at the numbers, I don't think we have anything to worry about. And consequently, people actually didn't think that the PlayStation 4 was going to actually hit 110 million units in its lifetime. It is currently sitting at, let's take a look here. Let's see, 109 million consoles so far. We got one more year to go, and they're probably going to sell about 10 million units next year, along with the PlayStation. No, this year. So it's almost a go. So I would say at the very most, I mean, when everything is said and done, because there's other countries that it kind of comes out late, and that's why the PlayStation 2 sold 155 million units. At the very most, it's probably going to do 130 million units, but it's never the PlayStation sector has never sold that much, as much as this. Like, this is a huge piece of Sony. So there you have it. That is a lot of fucking units. To put things in perspective, The PlayStation Network earned higher than the entire Xbox division and Nintendo's actual revenue. Like, that's stupid amounts of money. You know what I'm saying? People also segueing into the VR portion of this. There was also talks about there was a Manchester studio that has closed down. They opened in 2015, and here's the thing: I want you guys to understand this. They have never created a game. Never. They've never created a game ever. I guess they were thinking like, yeah, let's create the studio, but then they have the London studio that's doing quite well with the VR. And just in general, VR is moving a lot slower than it was supposed than it is than they anticipated. So yes, you can't not make anything and expect to stay afloat, even if you do post on social media. Oh, we're opening. Not anymore, bitch. Definitely not opening. And you'll know if you are on the Twitterverse. Uh, Next stop is Microsoft, basically stating that they're not competing with Nintendo or Sony anymore. That their actual target is Amazon and Google. Now, here's what Phil Spencer have actually said. He says, when you talk about Nintendo and Sony, we have a ton of respect for them, but we see Amazon and Google as the main competitors going forward. That's not to disrespect Nintendo and Sony, but the traditional gaming companies are somewhat out of position. I guess they could try to recreate Azure, but we've invested tens of billions of dollars in the cloud over the years. Now, understand this. This whole investment of the cloud, I want you to understand that that's not for gaming. That's storage. Storage for other companies. I understand that. Understand that that's exactly what this shit means. I don't kind of know where he's going with this, because yes, Google is trying to do cloud shit. Okay, great, we got it. They're doing cloud shit, fine, cute, that's cute. But at the same time, no one knows their name really. No one really talks about Stadia anymore. So it's like, I mean, like, are we really doing this here, Microsoft? Are we doing this? Are you really like, are you really like stating that it's, that's where your market is? Cloud? It just sounds like such a defeatist way of getting out of the console business. You know what I'm saying? Like they're totally defeated and they don't have time for this shit anymore. There's something that they cannot win. It's something that costs too much money, too much of a money sink, and they're not fucking with this shit anymore. That's what that whole statement means to me when I'm looking at the whole situation. It doesn't seem like, they gave up, essentially. And it looks like they're going to migrate away from consoles and try to do cloud and be the first company to do this. But at the same time, that is kind of a disrespectful comment because Sony has already had the PlayStation now. So now we kind of see in full focus in 2020, that's what this year is going to be all about is fucking 2020 vision. We're going to get a clearer picture as to what Sony is actually trying to accomplish. They definitely don't want to be left behind, and they have to do all these preemptive strikes. They do not want that shit to fuck their money up because Sony, the PlayStation division, is a huge portion. We just discussed the numbers. It's a huge portion. It's a huge, huge portion. And they don't want to fuck it up. I mean, you can't get mad at them. They definitely do not want to mess that up at all. And I'm pretty excited about what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do, but it'll be very interesting to see. And last but not least, we have Microsoft's talking about Game Pass, saying that there's a couple paragraphs here that we can definitely read. It says, it's Game Pass, which is the real key to the value equation. When you subscribe to Game Pass, you instantly gain access to the library of 200 games. Considering it only costs $9.99 a month, you could be subscribed for 5 months before you spend anywhere near the full price of a game. So that is this is the reason for Game Pass, if anybody is interested in it. In that same amount of time, you could have played many, many more games than the one-time purchase purchase would have given you. So this is why Microsoft is adamantly against AAA studios, and you won't get it. You will not get it. They want you to play small games and a lot of them. Okay, this doesn't even begin to account for the massive value of getting the Game Pass Ultimate bundle gold and both Xbox and PC games together is a stroke of absolute genius. It seems like Xbox competitors are going to have to learn a thing or two if they want to compete in the upcoming generation. With Microsoft owning several great gaming studios, it's likely that the titles hit in Game Pass at launch will grow in number. Once that happens, the gloves are really off. So I thought when I read this article that or thread in this and you know in this case, I really thought that it was you know saying that they had numbers, official numbers. They do not have official numbers for Game Pass, but it definitely shows you this statement in conjunction with Microsoft stating that they're not in competition with Microsoft, or sorry, Sony or Nintendo. They have already given up. They've given it up. They're done. They don't want to do anything with consoles anymore. That's it. And the quicker somebody knows this, the better. So a lot of people were giving Sony shit for saying that, oh, they're going to start developing their games on PC, and that I don't know where to put my money. Well, you can definitely assure yourself that Microsoft wants you to put it in Game Pass and just their services, and they want you to play a lot of different games to give you the perceived value. They say that, oh, you can play so many more games. If games are like fucking 60 hours, there's only so many games you can play within a month. People have full-time jobs and shit. Like, you can't really play all those fucking games. There's no fucking way. So that already is indicative of, what Microsoft actually has in store. But I figured I kind of reached that out. And there was one more thing I wanted to say too. In one of my other videos, I think it was the last, Gaming Pulpit video that I wanted to actually state, is that when people were kind of shitting on Sony for putting some games out on PlayStation, I mean, out on PC, if it's even a real thing, you gotta look at what Sony, I mean, what Nintendo has been doing. Nintendo has made crafted games, you know, on the phones. So it almost looks like Nintendo, instead of going to PC, they're kind of going to phones, and Sony, instead of going to phones, they're going to, which they do have phone stuff, but they're going to PCs. They're kind of broadening their horizons. The reason why Nintendo is actually going to phones is because, I mean, the handhelds are very similar. So if people like handheld experiences, then naturally you would kind of gravitate to, or if they like the cell phone experiences, naturally you can actually gravitate to the actual handhelds. But that is going to wrap up tonight. I have to eat my food and take a nap for this. I already told you guys I got my car back, or I got a different car, which is the same model. And I have to go put my sound system in. But thank you guys for listening in, and give me your feedback in the comments. Give it a like so I'll know what you guys want in the future, or you can put my video up for more people to hear it or see it. Take care.